Hello.
Hello.
How are you, Cassandra?
I'm excellent, you, and how are you?
I am so good. So good. I am
Yes.
so happy to see you again. It's been
Oh,
such a long time.
it is. It has been 2 weeks. We had a little hiatus
I
because of
know.
life circumstances, and we are back.
Right. It would be lovely if we were able to say to our fabulous audience that we've been away sunning ourselves, but we've actually just been extremely busy and really
Indeed.
sorry. I can imagine that the amount of people that are currently watching this will have be shocked to see us back. So I think it's important that we start the session with our usual wonderful opening. Shall we do that?
Please and thank you.
Okay. Well, welcome to Sparks Squared, everybody, our Sparks Squared Speakeasy, the leadership conversation you weren't meant to overhear. No slides, no scripts, no corporate nonsense. No, 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 no. I've lost my script, Cassandra. It's going really well. We're doing this. It's doing a thing. Here we go. This is what you get when you come to such a high quality podcast like ours, everybody. This is smart pub chat and a little bit of chaos, and it meets leadership therapy, where we talk about what leadership actually looks like when things get uncomfortable, messy, or real, as you can
Like
see
this.
today. Like this. I'm Ewan from the Bright Spark Group, and I am here with the bold and the bright Cassandra Sparks. Pull up a chair, everyone, grab your drink of choice, and let's get into it. It's official. I didn't think it was going to happen, but it did because the speakeasy doors, everybody, are officially open. And
Woohoo!
breathe. I feel like we need to get a shorter intro that people can.
Okay.
My goodness, that went on. I apologize. That was on me, not on you. Oh. So
Hooey.
tell me, Cassandra, last
Mhm,
time we had our Friday Courage Challenge, it felt like a long time ago, but the
mhm,
leadership challenge that we set everybody and ourselves was to lead with influence, not
mhm,
your title. And we
mhm,
told people to pick one interaction, a meeting or a call or a check in. And instead of actually telling people what to do, instead say, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? Then
mhm.
actually pausing and listening. So I'm going to hand it over
How'd
to
that
you. Is that
go?
okay?
Tell us.
Oh, I can go first. I love that.
Yeah, tell
Um,
us.
so I've been thinking about this and I've had lots of time to prepare. So I was
Mhm,
thinking about a client conversation that I had. And we were talking about a particular challenge that I shall keep a secret, but we were asking about trying to fix this problem that they wanted the
mhm,
Bright Spark group to help them with within their leadership team. And I I the way I kind of pitched it after our conversation, instead of just telling them what I thought they should do, I said, well, first, let me share my perspective of what I'm
mhm.
seeing from this position on the outside. And once I've done that, I want you to be prepared to share your perspective from the inside. And what it helped to
Ooh.
do was to almost shape the conversation as I'm going to give you my thoughts, but whilst listening to them, I want you to think about how that real life lived experience on the inside is
Mhm,
actually impacting on this challenge that you're facing.
mhm.
And it was a great conversation because then, as they were listening to me, they were preparing themselves to come up with kind of their response of what was happening on the inside. So that's what I did. Tell me about you.
That's wonderful, and it sounds like it went over really well.
It did. Yeah. They
Good.
were
Well
they were
done.
and do you know what, actually we ended up doing virtual leadership sessions with their team. And what was great about
Mhm,
that for us as a training provider was that we got more out of that conversation. We got to the nitty-gritty with them faster and a far
mm,
more um, meaningful way, because what they were sharing with us really helped us to shape and guide the virtual workshop that we did with their leadership team.
mhm. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was great. Look at us making things happening.
Mhm. And showing that this phrase or this perspective, here's what I'm thinking, what do you think? Such a simple phrase can completely shift not only the dynamic, but can make the workflow so much smoother and better for everyone.
Right, absolutely. And it helped them to come into that experience, sorry, with a really clear mindset of
Mhm.
exactly what they wanted to achieve by the end of it, what their goal was.
Oh, yes, because they had ownership, right?
Right, exactly.
Mhm, mhm. Amazing. Wow. My
How about you?
story, yeah. So I am newly certified in this very exciting space, the Dale Carnegie training
We are super
arena.
excited for you.
We are super excited. It's been a long time dream. It's been a lot of work and commitment to get to this point. And last week, the reason we didn't have our speaky was because I was at my final event, certification event. It was 4 days, all day long, very intense and evaluative. So every day we were being evaluated and coached and supported. We had an amazing master trainer in the room who is just spectacular. And we were working through an activity. And I asked him, who, is such an expert in the field, I said, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? Because I wanted to do the exercise in a specific way that was a little bit different. And typically it's the master trainer that's giving the instruction of how to do it. But I was like, I wanted to propose this idea and it went really well. The master trainer said, I think that's a really interesting approach. Let's try it. Let's see how it goes. And it was a slam dunk. So by getting buy-in up front, and getting support from him, we were able to deliver a really powerful activity to the group.
I love that. Did
Thank you.
his perspective shift and change anything that you were doing?
I think that it showed that I was a creative thinker because again, I wanted to do it a little bit differently than than we typically would do in a Dale Carnegie course. So it
Mhm.
showed creativity, it showed flexibility, and I think that helped him see that. I'm not sure that it shifted his perspective, but it definitely helped him see that I was those things.
Great. I love that. That's
Mhm.
fantastic. And we love that you're creative. It's one of our favorite things about you.
Thank you.
Well, at the end of this episode, we are going to pose this week's Friday Courage Challenge. So definitely everybody
Mhm.
stick around for that. And we'd love you to challenge yourselves. We will challenge each other and we'll recap next week when we reconnect at the Speakeasy. Today, we are going to be talking about clarity is the new motivation. And that was our thought on what we
Yes.
want to talk about. So, do you want to introduce us a little bit to that, Cassandra? Kind of
I
kick us off?
do, I do. As a motivational speaker, I feel like this is something that I think about a lot. When we think about leaders, we might think that their team needs more motivation. I believe that everybody could benefit from motivation. Some leaders might think, okay, I'm going to motivate them, I'm going to encourage them, I'm going to hold them accountable. And that's all great. But it can fall flat if in the day to day, there's not enough clarity in the work that's being done, the projects that need to be completed, and the tasks that are on the to do list.
Mhm.
So, motivation without clarity isn't really motivation, it's just a stressor.
Right. Absolutely agree with that. I think that I think when I think back to some experiences, do you know what? One of the things that I always consider when I think about clarity and when we're teaching clarity in our Spark program
Mhm,
with our clients is I remember a time when I was a receptionist on a front desk in a hotel in a big branded hotel in Scotland.
mhm,
And I had never worked in a hotel before. I had
mm,
very little experience working in a hotel. And nobody had taken any time to explain to me just the basic expectations of what a receptionist was. I had all the personality and the ability to communicate with guests and make them happy and do all those great things. But I had absolutely no understanding of how a hotel worked or
Mhm.
even how the experience of being a guest felt.
Mhm.
It was so unknown to me that I was never really able to do that job well when I look back on it because I just didn't have a fundamental understanding of the why behind
Mhm.
what I was doing. And I think that's a big part of leadership is being able to help people understand how they fit into maybe the bigger picture, or the bigger puzzle, or just
Mhm.
how do you fit into the guest's journey or the guest's experience if we're in the service world. And I
Mhm.
think that when we nail that as a leader, that's where motivation comes from because then people understand the inherent why or the purpose that they have within the bigger scheme of things. So I am
Yes.
totally with you on this that
Mhm.
motivation, it's not something that comes from the pizza party on a Friday. It comes from giving people the tools, the resources, the knowledge, and the experience that they need to be able to do their job well and to be able to understand what those expectations are within
Mhm.
that environment.
Yes. Well said.
Do you have any experiences of times, I'm putting you on the spot here, do you have any experiences of times when maybe expectations haven't been set clearly and that has led to you feeling just like I am
Mhm.
I am not sure what I'm doing here. I'm feeling rudderless and I don't
Mhm.
quite know what to do about it.
Yeah,
Any experiences?
indeed. Once upon a time, I worked in higher education for over a decade, and I was in a role that was brand new to the college. And because of that, the expectations were undefined, loose at best. And yet, there was this expectation that didn't match the way the job was set up. So I was operating under one pretense and then expected to kind of reach for another area of my brain that didn't quite work. It was very numbers heavy, and I'm not a numbers person, generally speaking. I know we've talked
You're
about
in
that.
good company.
I know, neither are you. So, having to the lack of expectation in like one half of the job was really challenging. And then this kind of unspoken, unexpected expectation on the other side, where I had to pull out some skills that I didn't really know I had until I figured it out, was really, really difficult. And I felt the pressure because it was a new position and there was a lot kind of riding on it. And I didn't feel necessarily set up to succeed.
That's awful. It's just looking back on those experiences. I know it made me stronger. I'm sure it made you stronger
Yes,
too.
it
But at the
did.
time, as a team member, as somebody who's being led, you almost look. But I look back on that and think, why did no one sit down with me and just ask me the question, what
Mhm.
don't you understand? What's missing?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
what gap can I fill in for you? Like, can I
Yeah.
take you to a room and show you what a room looks like? Let you
Yeah.
open up the mini bar, see what's inside the mini bar? Like, let's
Mhm.
stand at the front door and let's walk through that entire experience that a guest would have until they're sitting in this hot tub or the swimming pool with a glass of champagne in their hand, right? I just
Hmm.
think that leaders sometimes need to take a step back and think, how can I make this clearer to my team? What clarity can I unlock that's going to make them more successful and help them feel more bought in and motivated by the part of the experience that they play or the part of the the
Mhm.
the workflow that they play. I love that. It's,
So brilliant. I'm gonna do this early in our episode. You know what it's time for, don't you?
oh, I
What are you
know.
doing?
I've been
Can I
missing
get
this.
a hell yeah?
Hell yeah! Oh, it's just
That was so
awful.
beautifully said.
Awful.
And it's
Thank you.
such a simple idea, right? Like, set your folks up for success by giving them the basics,
Right.
especially if it's someone new. And
Right.
that, if
Absolutely.
you had that experience when you started at the hotel, it would have completely changed the day-to-day experiences you had and would have made you better, would have made the brand better, and
It
the
would have
guest experience
it
better.
would have made me more efficient. It would have made me a
Mhm,
more efficient team member as well. I would have been
mhm,
able to do
mhm.
more because I had that understanding.
That's right.
So it's something that I advocate for when I'm working with service teams, whether that's in hotels or restaurants or big brands or in call centers. Do your team truly have a sense of clarity? We have a module, actually, one of our workshops in the
Mhm,
Spark leadership journey experience, called Clarity is Kind.
mhm.
And Clarity is Kind is kind of founded upon this concept of there being like a spectrum of clarity that
Ooh,
everybody has. And it's a really great visual that allows people to kind of see it like a gauge of understanding or a gauge of clarity. And it starts off at the
mhm.
very bottom with this sort of stage of clarity being oblivious. You don't
Okay.
know what you don't know. No idea what
Mhm,
you're doing, why you're doing it. You're just doing it, if
mhm.
that. And as a leader, you want to get your team through this gauge so that they move from oblivious all the way through to fully aligned.
Yes.
And fully aligned is a really hard place to be. And generally, what we find with leadership, especially in the service industry, because it is so fast paced and high volume, is that we get to a certain point in that gauge of clarity, and that's where we stop. So we get them
Mm,
from oblivious to maybe vague. They have a vague understanding of
okay.
what the expectation is. Like they're aware of their purpose, but
Mhm,
they're not necessarily aware of how that purpose translates into success.
mhm,
So that motivation isn't there yet. They're just aware of it. And then we move from that sort of vague sense of clarity to a sense of specificity. That
mhm,
the expectation is now very specific. They know what the expectation is. They're clear on what's being asked of them. But the question is, do they have the why? Do they understand the purpose behind the expectation and how that expectation like really translates into success? How does it make the guest feel or the customer or the client feel?
mhm,
And it's at that point when a leader feels like their team member specifically understands the expectation that's being set, that a leader will likely go, my work here is done, and off they go. Because they're like, well, I've told you the standard. You know what the standard is. You know what the
mm,
expectation is. So what the hell else is there for me to do here? This is a
mm,
you problem, not a me problem. And off they
mm,
go. And then they come
mm.
back and they're like, hang on a second. I thought you understood the expectation. You're like, yeah,
Right.
you told me what it was, but I don't know why I'm doing it. Like,
Mm,
why? What does this contribute to the greater good?
mhm,
So that's where we really, in the Clarity is Kind module that we do, is we really push our leaders past that point and give them the tools that they need to be able to better understand what comes next. And then the next step in the gauge of, or the spectrum of clarity, is understood. So does somebody not just hear it and know it and is able to recite the expectation,
mm,
the standard, whatever it might be, but do they actually understand what it means? Can they not just recite it back, but truly understand the impact of meeting that expectation
mhm.
on the guest, the client, the customer, whoever it might be? And then you get yourself to aligned. And it's at that point when everybody's aligned, where I know as a leader that you know as a member of my team what the expectation is and how that expectation contributes to our success as a team. That's the pot at the end of the rainbow. That's where we want to get everybody to, right? So
Absolutely.
whenever we kind of share that framework with our participants and let them see, what tends to happen is that they start going, oh, I know that problem child in my team is actually not as aligned as I thought they were. They're
Mhm,
still stuck up at specific. It's my job as a leader to get them past specific towards understood, and eventually we'll get them to aligned. But
yes.
if we constantly set expectations and then wipe our hands and walk away,
Mhm,
that's an us problem as leaders, not a them problem. it's our
Mhm.
job to build that clarity into alignment.
Yes. That's a really powerful model, Ewan. Well done. In I like the visual of the gauge and
Yeah,
the different kind of touch points that a leader should hit, ideally, to get to that final stage of aligned. And everything's better when a team is aligned. Everything moves smoother. The
absolutely.
value goes up of the services that are provided, and the team morale goes up. Like everything just gets better. So wow.
Right.
So let's talk
I
about
think
how we can, yeah, get to alignment, right?
go for it. Yeah, absolutely. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think if I go back to the other end of the gauge where we have oblivious or vague, that to me sounds like confusion. People
Right.
don't know, like you said, they don't know what they don't know because confusion ultimately kills momentum.
Yeah.
If someone isn't sure what to do or how to do it, they literally can't move forward without feeling unsure. So what happens is folks are often assumed that disengaged employees could be lazy or unmotivated. However, the reality is they don't know what success actually looks like because that specific and understood part of the gauge hasn't yet been made clear to them. So we have a team member thinking, am I doing this right? They might be thinking, what is the priority? Is this the priority, what I'm working on now? And is this what my boss or leader wanted?
Mm.
Some leaders say, take initiative. Like, you're smart, you've got this, figure it out. Where and what the employee or team members hear is, well, I'm going to guess and hope I survive because they
Wish and a
haven't.
prayer.
Wish and a prayer, please. Because nothing's been made super clear to them. And let's be
Right.
honest, guessing what your boss wants is basically workplace roulette, which can be very risky.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Mhm.
Don't you think that when leaders leave our team feeling that sort of sense of workplace roulette, that really they've just kind of set themselves up for failure? Like
Mhm.
it's such a stupid thing to do as a leader. Like why are you making this difficult for yourself as a leader? Just
Yes.
explain things to people properly.
Mhm. It's true. Yeah, because not only are we playing workplace roulette, but when people are guessing, they slow down and then they start to doubt even more. Because without proper guidance or direction, guess who creeps in? The imposter syndrome monster. And that
Mhm.
monster gets real cozy and hunkers down,
Right.
which I'm sure we've all experienced imposter syndrome to some degree. It is unpleasant, it is uncomfortable. And if people don't know what to do or what's expected of them, they doubt themselves
Mhm.
and they doubt their talents. The talents are not in question because they were hired. They're rock stars. They were hired for a job. They've got the skill and they are all that and a bag of chips.
I
But
love that.
yeah, that imposter syndrome monster is totally drowning out the skills that they have and what they know to be true about what they bring to the table because of the lack of clarity.
Absolutely. I want to pick up on something that you said there around the take initiative piece, because what you
Yes.
just said, I think that take initiative piece leads into the imposter syndrome and can lead to imposter syndrome. That take initiative thing drives me absolutely bonkers because what
Mm,
you're essentially saying to your team member when you say, just use your common sense, take initiative, you'll work it out, is
mhm.
I am too lazy as your leader, or I am too busy as your leader to focus on your success.
Yes.
And listen, we're all busy. Leaders are busy. It's hard being a leader. There's nothing easy about it. But
Mhm.
every time you say something like, use your common sense, take initiative, you'll work it out, you're just leaving a little breadcrumb of a trail that leads back to, I, as your leader, maybe don't know how to do this properly. I, as your leader, don't care if you do this properly.
Mm-hmm.
I, as your leader, just don't have time for you. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
care enough. And my big thing is that while saying it once might not feel like a big deal, if you're saying that once or twice or three times a month to your team, whether it's to one person or to multiple
Mm-hmm.
people, you are painting a picture about you as a leader. And you're starting to say, I don't have time to help you succeed. And that's
Mm.
going to build a culture that I think is very hard to unravel over time. And I think it's a culture that you probably don't want to create as a leader. So you then end up with a team of people who have been the rock stars in a bag of chips, got the job,
Mm-hmm.
super excited about the opportunity to learn and grow and develop their skills. And now they're faced with a leader who isn't going to help them to learn and grow and develop their skills.
Mm-hmm.
They're left on their own floundering. And that's where imposter syndrome starts to fit in or set
Yes.
in. And that imposter syndrome monster, like you say, is a hard monster to get rid of.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they get real cozy.
Real cozy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
well, I love that. I think that is really important for us to remind everybody that if people are guessing, they're just simply not progressing. And
Yes.
the simple fact is that clarity creates a sense of momentum in teams. It creates a sense of forward movement, and forward movement is the catalyst, the spark, that can
Hey,
make a team progress further than you ever imagined them to progress.
totally.
But you have to give them that push to start with. And if you're clear about the expectations, clear about the goals, clear about where the big mission is, um, then people will naturally take initiative. They will
Mm-hmm.
naturally use their lived experiences, their knowledge, their talents to help you achieve that goal. I always say during our Clarity is Kind module and also our accountability module that people are animals at the end of the day. We are all mammals.
Mm-hmm.
We're all part of the animal kingdom.
Yes.
The reality is that as members of the animal kingdom, we like to live in packs. We like to be
Hmm.
part of something. We like to feel as if we are safe within that community, whether that's our work community or our home community or our church community or our crochet community. But being a part of something is very animalistic, and it's where
Mm-hmm.
we are at our core. And if we can, as leaders of that pack, support our community to be successful and to grow and to develop and to move forward, it will just spread through the pack and everybody will collectively be trying to achieve that same goal.
Yes. Amazing.
I love it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, when we think about priorities, I
Mm-hmm.
think, or when we think about expectations, sorry, I think about priorities. I think about being, as a leader, clever about how we communicate and articulate our priorities without overwhelming people of what the expectations are. And I think that as a leader, one of the things that we really need to be responsible for is thinking really logically and practically about what the capacity of our team members is at that given
Yes.
moment, and
Mm-hmm.
it being our responsibility to be clear about what expectation we need them to focus on at any given time. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
prioritization of the expectations is something that's really, really important and a skill that many leaders need to learn when they move into leadership and as they grow through leadership and as the priorities grow. How do we as leaders help our team to understand what is top priority, non negotiable, has to be done? And then what are some things that are maybe nice to haves? So, do you have any tips or
Mm.
tricks or thoughts on that around prioritization?
Well, do you remember a couple weeks ago we spoke about boundary setting?
Yeah.
And we talked about what happens when someone interrupts you.
Hmm.
And the response that we kind of workshopped and role played was, is this a now issue or is this a later issue?
Yes.
And that, I think, lends itself really well to this idea of making priorities, because if it's a now issue, if a team member says this is a now issue, the client's on the phone, or we have a deadline we have to hit by the end of today, that's the priority for the leader and for the team.
Hmm.
If it's a bit more flexible and it's a later issue, the leader can say, this isn't, I'm the current priority is project A. Let's focus on what you're talking about, project B, as soon as this wraps in 2 hours.
Hmm.
So it can become very clear what the priority is when you have conversations like that. And we shouldn't be afraid to ask. It doesn't make us weak to ask our leaders, what is the priority?
Absolutely. I think that, again, it's the whose problem is this? Is this a you problem or a me problem? And
Mm,
I think that leaders need to recognize that they need to build a culture that allows for that two-way communication when it comes to priorities, because what
mhm,
might be my priority may not be your priority, and what may be your priority
mhm.
may not be mine. So
Yep.
having a very clearly understood process for that, whether that's
Mhm.
through regular meetings or regular catch ups. I know something that we do at the Bright Spark group with our production team is we have a meeting every Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday. It's 30 minutes, it's really quick. We do an update of our projects on board or on
Nice.
deck, and then we
Nice.
will update on the specific tasks that people are working on so that we can reassign and redirect if we need to, reprioritize. And having that open communication that's regular and consistent allows for us to then be able to pivot when things change
Mhm.
and for things to not be a surprise for the team, because I might have my
Mhm.
team working on this big project A,
Sure.
and then I have a phone call come through from a client on big project C, and they're like, hey, do you know
Mhm.
that this priority was not a priority and now it's a massive priority? I know that I've
Surprise.
got surprise, it happens regularly.
I
I know that I
know.
have very little time until our next touch point where I can pivot and redirect our resource. So I think that as
Sure.
leaders, we have to very quickly gain the skill of understanding what is important and what is urgent, what is going to
Mhm.
need done right now because it's a time-based priority, and what's going to need done as soon as we can because it's an impact-based priority. So
Ooh,
one tool that we teach, again, in our Spark, I'm doing a lot of plug-in today. I love it. In our
as you
Spark
should.
leadership journey, yeah, Spark
Mhm.
leadership journey, teambrightspark.com/spark for anyone that's interested, is in the art of getting stuff done, which is a 2-hour module on the skills and the tools that you need to actually just organize your life as a leader. We
Mm.
teach this concept, which I'm sure many people have heard of already, called the 4-box principle, or the Eisenhower matrix, or the urgent important matrix, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. 4 boxes: up in the top, important, urgent; down at the bottom, not important, not urgent; and then vice versa. Anyway, easy peasy.
Mhm.
But what's really good about it is it helps leaders at the beginning of their day to decide, right, what do I need to tackle first up in the top box,
Mm.
and what can wait as a nice to have if I get the time to get to it. It allows you to then really become more laser focused about all the
Yes.
noise that happens in your life as a leader. But what's really, really good about it is it allows you to more clearly articulate to your team exactly what your priorities are right now and what the team's priorities are as well. So it gives you a little bit more structure to that chaos, which is
Oh,
always
that's
nice as leaders, right?
beautiful. And I imagine that tool is especially helpful for leaders whose brains tend to be running at about 1,000 miles a minute, and to be able to just stop, jot down keywords in each of those boxes in the matrix. That
Yeah.
way, it's clear, it's written, and then if they get pulled in another direction and their brain goes into that space, they have already written it down. They don't have to like
Right.
remember, okay, what was it? What was it this today that we needed to focus on, or this first half of the week? It's there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. Like, I know that writing things down for some people is just like, what? The joy of this is that, and I love to see people using it, is
Mm.
that you can just do it on your phone with like the
Yep.
Notes app. If you have an iPhone, just have
Yes.
4 different notes. One's for urgent, important. One's for not urgent, but important. One's for important, but not urgent. And one's for not urgent, not important. And then there's your list. Like, you just go and choose the list that you've got time to work on. Knock off the first list, get that done. There's usually like 1 or 2 tasks on that urgent, important, and then get into the urgent, not importance, or the not importance,
That's
urgent.
really smart.
Everyone. Yeah,
And now
it's good.
we're speaking to all types of learners and the different ways people like to work. Some people are paper-based, some people are tech-based. So yes, super idea
Yeah,
with the
absolutely.
iPhone
I love it.
notes. Hmm.
Right, exactly. Because we all have one of those in our pocket, so it's nice and easy. There's actually apps that you can use as well. So
Oh, no doubt.
I've got Actions by Moleskin, which is an
Mm.
awesome. If anyone's a lister out there, Actions by Moleskin. Do you know the Moleskin books, like the notepads, the really
Yes.
beautiful leather-bound notepads? Moleskin have an app now called Actions, and it's like a
Oh,
list-based thing. We are not sponsored by them, but if you would like to sponsor us, you're more than welcome. Um,
indeed.
so yeah, I highly recommend that. It's a great app for listers.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well,
There's something so satisfying about checking something off of a list. Oh, it's glorious.
tell me this, Cassandra, are you one of those
Mhm.
people that if it's not on the list but you've achieved it, you write it on the list just so you can score it out?
Absolutely.
Good. I knew I was in good
Absolutely.
company there. Why would you not miss out on that feeling of being able to
Oh,
go, tick,
it's
it's
a
done.
victory to have any
Right.
kind of forward momentum and accomplishment. And if it's on that list, I'm putting it on there and I am proudly and boldly checking it off or scratching it through and being like, ah, done.
Done. Right, I
Hmm.
agree. I One of my favorite personal life stories, but one of my favorite like life rituals is that usually on a Thursday or Friday, as I'm thinking about what we've got going on the weekend, I
Hmm.
love to write on we've got like a whiteboard on our refrigerator. I like to write up all the things I want to get done at the weekend. But it's on whiteboard, so you can like
Okay.
actually like swipe it off, like get rid of it. I don't know, there's something
Yes.
about having it on the fridge that I just really
Sure.
like. I find that really adult, but I find it
Hmm.
really therapeutic to be like, water the plants, vacuum, like just like adult things. It's really nice.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
know there's a certain human being in this world who may listen to this and be like, yeah, but how many of those things do you actually get done at the weekend? That's the question. But we're not going to listen to him.
That's for you to know.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And just you. Yeah,
Um,
that's for you to keep.
well,
Hmm.
listen, this
Hmm.
has been fun. Do you feel like it's time to start those creaking doors of the speakeasy
I
and wrap
do.
up?
I do.
Well, all righty then. We're about to
All
close the
right.
speaky doors for this week. But before you go, we have our Friday Courage Challenge. So are you ready
Hmm.
for your Friday Courage Challenge this week, Cassandra?
100%
Okay, so here's my challenge for you. It's a very
ready.
simple one. I want you to
Okay.
ask someone on your team or in your life, what does success look like for this project or for this task or for whatever it
Hmm.
might be that you're talking to them
Hmm.
about? What does success look like for this project? Get
Mm.
them to start thinking about those expectations and maybe having a conversation about clarity of those expectations. And if
Hmm.
their answer surprises you, you've just discovered where clarity might be needed. Maybe they need to be
Yes.
redirected or they need a little bit more explanation about what that expectation is.
Hmm.
If this conversation today has sparked something for you, share it with someone who needs a seat at our speakeasy table. We will be here next Friday, the two of us. Same speakeasy, same sparks. Thank you,
Woohoo!
Cassandra. Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend. Happy
Oh, you too. Happy
Friday.
Friday, everybody. So long.
Bye now.